Boys proudly presents NASCAR Inside Winston Cup.
Big racing action this weekend from Indianapolis. We got the trucks, the cars. We got a hot seat guest who saved the day for Johnny Benson. You wanted a sponsor for Johnny? We got him. We're going to tell you all about all the action from Indy, and we're going to do it next on NASCAR's Inside Winston Cup.
Hi, welcome to the post-Brickyard edition of NASCAR Inside Winston Cup. Alan Bestwick here in our Charlotte studios to review all of the action from the weekend with our assembled expert panel of drivers. We welcome to the program once again Michael Waltrip, driver of the nation's Wrench Chevy for Ultra Motorsports. Johnny Benson, driver of the new sponsor. Ta-da!
So new. Aaron's. Don't even have it on his shirt yet.
Where's the piece of tape? The Aaron's Pontiac for MB2 Racing, I guess I have to say now. And Ken Schrader's here, driver of the M&M's Pontiac, also for MB2 Racing. Kenny started 38th and finished 22nd on Saturday.
Yeah, we kind of hover between 18th and 22nd. We actually made a lot of adjustments and stayed like 35th or 6th most of the day, and then after they kept adjusting on it, we got it better, and this probably wasn't the best shot to use, you know, but we did get it better than that. Wound up still behind Mikey, so it was a bad day.
Gained on it all day long, though.
Gained on it all day long, just like you, buddy.
Might have been the only shot on the TV broadcast of you we could have found. So.
Hey, we don't want to point that out because M&M spends a lot of money, make sure he's on TV a lot. And I know he was on there wearing that, wasn't he, Alan? Did you see some other video where he was kind of maybe?
Okay, moving on. Johnny Benson started 13th on Saturday, finished 25th.
Yeah, we, same as Kenny, just stayed right there about 20th or so.
But we should have been about the same. I mean, we don't talk to each other all weekend.
And we were right the same. And then with 3 laps to go, we had broke a piston or something and ended up still 25th. Was pretty good for having that problem. And like I say, and of course there's a pit stop, but I think kill us too bad. Yeah, I mean, like I say, we're real happy that Aaron's come on board and, like I say, saved the year for us. So we're real happy about that.
And we shall discuss that further later in the program. Mikey started 14th, finished 20th.
Yeah, I had a chance to finish up a lot better than that, and brushed outside wall off turn 2. My car was real loose on the initial go on a run, and I just got a little wide off too. But all in all, it was encouraging the way we ran. We were real good the first half of the race.
Mike made the TV broadcast.
Did they show that?
There's Mike.
Yeah, did they show
Look at that
record?
car, Bobby Kennedy. No. I'm proud of you here. Look at that car. That thing's got the attitude like you want. It's down on the left side, sucking down that straightaway. Looks good. Things were going well, and just had a little bit of problem off too there. Got tangled up with another car.
Would that have been a car problem, or did we have? Did you run out? Run out of talent?
It was the other guy's fault, in the car that I was trying to pass.
Because
he was in the way.
Oh, okay.
He was on the racetrack with him.
You need
it was just a bad move on his part.
Okay.
Being that close to you.
We will have our extensive expert panel review of the Indianapolis races for the Winston Cup Busch and Truck Series. Got a hot seat guest, question of the week, and a preview of Watkins Glen all over the next hour.
NASCAR Inside Winston Cup is presented by Pep Boys, Cars Like Us, People Love Us, and brought to you by Miller Lite. Taste a true Pilsner.
Time to check some of the news headlines of the week now on NASCAR Inside Winston Cup, and they were plentiful. We will start with Thursday qualifying at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Ricky Rudd winning the Bud Pole for the Brickyard 400 with a record speed of 181.068 miles an hour for his second Bud Pole award of the 2000 season. But the big story of qualifying was Darrell Waltrip, who claimed the outside front row spot at 180.923 miles an hour, giving the crowd and a little brother there a thrill. Friday at Indy, Mark Martin won the IROC Series finale for 2000, leading 32 of the 40 laps in the race, but the IROC Championship went to Dale Earnhardt, who finished second in the race and edged Martin by 3 points for the top prize. With lingering after effects of his Daytona and New Hampshire crashes, Terry Labonte ended his Ironman streak of consecutive starts, choosing to sit out the Indy race at 6:55. Is where the streak stopped. Todd Bodine subbed for Terry at Indianapolis. Jeremy Mayfield suffered a concussion in a wicked crash in Friday practice at Indy, which we will get a look at right here. It's kind of the aftermath of it. He hit the wall hard with the driver's side of the car. He sat out this weekend's race. Kyle Petty subbed there. Jeremy also to miss Watkins Glen this weekend. Friday night, Felix Abades and Chip Ganassi made their partnership official, as well as confirming their switch to Dodge for 2001. Ganassi's team has won the last 4 straight Kart Series championships. And you look at the official unveiling of the Dodge Intrepid. NASCAR making rules modifications last Tuesday. A throttle stop has been mandated on both the primary and secondary throttle shafts in carburetors. That to help try and alleviate problems with potential stuck throttles. Also mandated was a kill switch to be mounted on the steering wheel that the driver could get to in fairly quick order, of which I have one here. Hook this to the ignition, put that on the steering wheel, there we go, and hit that. Of course, some drivers have an easier time with that than others.
I have trouble reaching it. We had to relocate mine just a little bit. But this switch, you were the one that pointed it out to start with, Mikey, but this switch, you hit it one time and it kills it. You don't have to hold it down. You have to hit it again to start it. So it's real good. Between the secondary throttle stop, this switch, and people that like Mikey was talking to, maybe put a toe strap over your throttle, so if it's something inside the car or on a floor mat or something, you can pull it up. We should be able to eliminate any kind of stuck throttle problems.
And a real quick take on what the throttle shaft stops do
on
the carburetor.
We knew Mikey would go, or Johnny'd have to answer that.
I was hoping Johnny would jump in there and get that one.
Please do.
The one they were showing on the
Keep 'em from
carburetor,
sticking.
they had some problems with the butterflies going over center. And then that was a problem, so they just made a stop, just so it can't go over center. Still goes wide open, and then it stops it right at that point. So I think all the ideas that they got going into the cars are good ones and great ones, and then hopefully, like say in the future, there's something that eliminate all possibilities would be perfect.
Concussions were a big topic of discussion on everybody's mind this weekend after Terry's after effects from Daytona and New Hampshire, and Jeremy and the big crash he took. Thoughts?
I think the answer to that is softer walls, and that's a topic that's gaining momentum. You hear more and more talk about it. Humpy Wheeler saying maybe that they'll put them at Charlotte. Technology is out there in order to put some sort of cushion between the racing area and the concrete wall that we've been running into. You know, you have to look at it. We've had a couple of terrible accidents, and you got a guy like Terry Labonte and Jeremy Mayfield setting out of races. These cars are going really fast, and NASCAR's jumping on the things like to get the throttles from stopping and hanging. Maybe we could try to make the walls a little bit less forgiving or more forgiving when you run into them.
There's so many of the tracks that we go to that you couldn't use the styrofoam or something like that because you run right up against it. But at places like Indianapolis and New Hampshire, where when you're within 2 feet of certain areas of that wall, you're crashed anyway. You just haven't hit it yet. And it would have helped Jeremy's deal for sure.
It would have helped. And the thing that I think is great about it, Alan, there's always a place, like Kenny said, if you're up there, you're wrecked. It's just a matter of getting to the wall. Put it in those places. Put something in there to keep those places from causing the bad crashes. And Jeremy's deal is a perfect example of that. If you think about Charlotte, when you dive down into turn 1 or turn 3, you don't dive in right next to the wall. There's room there for that. So I love seeing these promoters and guys that own racetracks talk about the possibility of doing that, because I just think it's a win situation for everybody involved.
Yeah, you always want something good to come out of something.
Exactly.
If something bad has to happen, and we're seeing a lot of positive momentum in the safety area. And I also just want to take a minute and say I'm glad to see the drivers choosing to sit. I mean, I know it had to be just an extraordinarily difficult decision on Terry Labonte's part to sit out the race, but it was, and it's easy for me to say, but it was the right thing to do, and I'm glad that he and the team and the sponsor had the courage to make that decision.
Yeah, that's extremely tough for any of us guys to say, man, we're just not going to race that weekend. That's, you know, I'm sure Terry's had a lot of thought about that, but you have to eventually make that choice. Probably in Jeremy's case, I mean, he was at the doctors. They said you couldn't race this weekend. But in Terry's case, where he has run and has gotten out of the car, to make that choice was probably extremely hard. But he knows that he's still got a long career to go, and there's other things just more important.
Talking to Bobby Labonte during driver introduction Saturday, and he said he was talking to Terry, and he was just waiting to see what Terry said, so he could support him no matter which side he wanted to go on. And said Terry couldn't make up his mind, so he didn't know whether to support him. He was glad to see him sit out.
Okay. Thank Nelson Specialties, one of the makers of these things, for letting me have one to toy around. I hope I remember to bring it to Watkins Glen to give it back to him like I said I would.
Oh, okay.
And we'll take a break here. Come back and get into our review of the Brickyard 400 in just a minute.
To win here, is definitely a dream come true, and it's very, very special to battle down with one of the greatest and all the greatest drivers out there, and win on a racetrack that holds so much prestige. And they're going to have a Formula One race this year. That's kind of cool too. So, I think it's just great. It's just can't really say a whole lot about it other than definitely the best feeling you can have today.
Bobby Labonte, winner of the Brickyard 400 on Saturday. We come back to review the event now with our expert panel here on NASCAR Inside Winston Cup. Start off with a race summary. 160 laps to make up the distance. Only the 2 caution flags. And the largest margin of victory ever seen in the Brickyard 400 as Bobby wins by 4.229 seconds. Let's get right to it, starting with some early trouble for Mark Martin. He qualified 12th, but just 16 laps into the race, he goes out in big and spectacular fashion. This is turn 1.
Wow. Ooh. This definitely got some help, and this is going to be a pretty big hit, I'm sure.
See, that would have been a softball perfect situation.
Said the fuel cell was wrapped around the back axle.
Oh, just
around the rear end housing.
Thank God for those fuel cells. How about the job they do? You see 16 laps into the race there. That thing that's got a lot of gas in it.
This would be a pretty good view of what potentially happened here.
You're in India.
Mike
we come
left
off the
into
corner.
him there.
He come off the corner and ran into me, so I just eased over there to ask him why he did that. And then I pull back over to my right side here, and Skinner, for some reason, drives into him. So I don't really...
He took the air off the spoiler.
Then hit him.
Then he hit him.
Looked like he hit him pretty good.
So Mark finished 43rd for a second straight race. The only other caution...
Could have warned him about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. The only other caution of the race happened at lap number 42 when the 43 car had a little problem going off into the corner. John Andretti, top of your screen.
Not sure exactly what transpired there, but if he had a tire get slowed down, but it's twice he's been on fire this year. That's not good.
We were talking about that back when we were screening the highlights with the producer and director before. Why does this car always catch on fire?
It's knocking the fuel pump off it for sure, but
That's
he gets
a
high.
pretty direct hit.
That's a really hard hit too.
Into the outside wall, and had a tire go down there for whatever reason. We didn't see any tire trouble at Indy, so he must have cut that thing down.
Jeff Burton and Scott Pruitt really heads up driving there.
Yeah. Pit stops. Last caution flag pit stop of the day at lap 43.
And that's a timely time, if you'll go with me on that, for the last caution to come.
We knew what you meant. That's the scary
It breaks the race down to where you can just make 2 more stops and hopefully make it to the finish if you're getting good gas mileage.
We didn't have much of a choice but to go with you on that since you were talking at the time.
Kind of felt like I was running myself into a circle, but I appreciate y'all hanging with me.
Almost had another caution, which got the Save of the Day award for me for this. We move ahead to Kyle Petty trying to race alongside Mike Bliss. Kyle driving the 12 car, subbing for Jeremy Mayfield. Check this out as they exit turn 2.
Wow.
What is that thing about 8 tires being better than...
Whoa.
Yeah, 8 tires.
It started going into the corner, and they got loose, and it's a good thing Mr. Fuller gave him a little bit of room there, and they both went
Bliss.
up to... Or Bliss, excuse me.
Fuller.
Used to be Fuller.
Oh.
And
This is
they were
Elliott.
lucky. Right there, they should have
Watch Elliott.
been gone.
Elliott saying, please work out, and it did.
Now, see, when us announcers call the wrong guy in the wrong car, the letters to the editor start. Johnny
Really?
can get away
Yeah.
with that clean.
Yeah, but Johnny's not a professional.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's
Nor does he claim to be. You people seem to think maybe you know more than we do about it.
Bobby Labonte started 3rd, dropped back a couple of spots in the opening laps, then began picking his way back toward the front. We'll watch him move all the way up to 2nd. First he gets around Ricky Rudd here.
Let me ask you guys a question on my fellow panel here.
That was Rudd signaling.
Go ahead. The outside line was there. You could race side by side through the corners. Wasn't that great?
It was
really
the
good.
most
Most widest?
yeah, the most
inside
widest track we've ever had up there.
You're the one that asked the question, Mike. I'm sorry. This is Bobby getting 2nd from Jerry Nadeau here. Now, even though the race was a little bit strung out up front and Rusty Wallace led a lot of the laps, every now and then we could dip back into the field here and find some pretty hot and heavy action.
Yeah. Here's
What's the
an
3
example
wide
of
deal
that.
here, Mike?
That was a couple of guys going around the corner side by side, like I said, and I decided that maybe I could get down the straightaway faster than they did, and it all worked out. What about this here? We go in the corner, and Jerry's, or 33's in the middle, and I'm in the low side. We come off, and it's all exactly the opposite, except I'm ahead, so that's the best thing.
Rusty was the man for most of the day on Saturday, led 110 of the 160 laps.
That thing will go.
was pretty good. His car was good. It just looked like it, it's get down the straightaway good, but the corners there, you just got to have such great momentum, and his and Bobby's and a bunch of those guys' cars really balanced good.
Everybody was complaining of tight. Understeer. What weather conditions, what caused that? What was the deal? It seemed like some people said the farther into the race they went, the worse it got.
It's just weird. That's what we deal with week in and week out now. The cars have so much
very
grip.
scientific,
It's our
isn't it?
expert panel.
Yeah. It's weird.
I think just the little cooler weather and no sun.
And plus, the track is just tight. I mean,
what are you going to do with it?
It seems like that's what you hear more often than not. But I digress. Go ahead.
I think it's a great place for a commercial. Thursday night at 7 Eastern time.
Oh, sure.
on
You want to tell
Speed
everybody
Vision.
about your stupid Thursday night show.
Yeah, because I got Jimmy Maycar coming on this week in NASCAR.
Winner.
I'd like to tell you that I had the knowledge and foresight and connections to book this like after they won the race, but I had it set up a week ago. Jimmy Maycar on This Week in NASCAR. Got a question for Jimmy. Leave it on the fan forum line at that number, Thursday, 7 Eastern on Speed Vision. So for $800,000, will you kiss a rubber-coated brick? Absolutely you would be. Bobby, Joe, and Jimmy after winning the Brickyard 400 at the Yard of Bricks on Saturday in Indianapolis. Seemed like the longer a run went on between pit stops, the better Bobby's car got versus Rusty's. As Bobby continues trying to chase the race's dominant car down to take the win away, we look at some of the action here, and just the more laps that went, the closer he got.
It must be a balanced race car. He was able to keep his car good throughout a whole run. That's what we all search for and what we all hope for, and he had it. You can see there, as he exited the corner, just more speed than Rusty was able to drive up to him as they come off the corner. And everybody talks about the fact that Rusty's got tons of horsepower and that thing really goes down the straightaway. Well, you can see there, the 18 car isn't hurting either, because once he drove up beside him, he kept on going. So that was a good running race car as well.
That was lap number 119. At which Bobby took the lead. Now, 2 laps later, green flag pit stops for the leaders begin. Rusty jumps off at 121. A lap later, Bobby will come down pit road. And this really kind of set up their duel to the finish of the race because it could have separated them and didn't. Rusty will come out with the lead at the end of the stops, but it was close.
Right together.
Yeah, we'll see it here in a second.
Both teams are just so good on their pit stops, and they're both equally as good at getting in and off pit road.
Check out this time, Johnny, in that upper corner there. 15.8.
Check out the time when Bobby's car hits the ground here in a minute.
And Bobby's might have had, or almost had to have been a touch quicker. Well, I don't know what he ran,
but
watch,
watch the time when he.
Rusty being able to get on the track with 1 lap longer on new tires would make a little bit of difference.
That's
pretty good.
just about the difference.
No wonder we don't see those guys after.
Rusty would have gained by pitting a lap earlier.
Now watch Bobby. Yep, he comes off up onto the backstretch. That's Rusty coming into the frame.
Hard on the gas, as you heard there, as he exited the turn 2. And he's probably got a pretty good idea Rusty's going to get him here. He makes a run around the outside of him, but they're right together. And Rusty, like Johnny said, he had 1 lap more on his tires there. He got 1 lap in to make a run on Bobby.
Guess it didn't look like it was going to last very long, though.
Well, he took a look under him, but they came up on some lap cars, and he had to fall back in line. So that was about lap 122 there. So Bobby stayed right with Rusty and right with him and stalked him and tracked him, and then finally at lap 146 with 14 to go, finally made what would be the winning pass.
Rusty said his car was weak in turn 3, all day long. He had problems with that end of the racetrack. His car just wanted to be a little bit tight. You could see Bobby there, able to look to the bottom of the racetrack and get up under him as they come through turn 3 and into 4. And here again is a good example of what we talked about. 2 wide racing, a groove there on the outside. That's fun to see at Indy. It's been 1 groove so long. Excuse me, Rusty. Yeah, I'm over here.
I mean, is that something you do on purpose to unsettle a guy to get it,
Trying to get his air.
Yeah, he's just packing all the air in the left rear there and trying to slow him down the straightaway, and as you can see, it worked out pretty good.
As long as Rusty doesn't get back to him in the middle of the corner.
Exactly. And you can see it's just good racing
might have
there.
touched right there.
Hey, while we're still in Indy, how much water will the garage hold?
How much what?
Water will the garage hold. Didn't you have water problems in one of your garages?
No.
Let's go down to finish in order here.
Okay, Bobby Labonte with $831,000 at the Brickyard Saturday, including the $190,000 Winston Cup leader bonus that's been rolling over since the Daytona 500.
Largest ever.
Driver that wins the race that also has the point lead at the end of the day. Bobby, the first one to collect that since Dale Jarrett back the first race of the season. Jerry Nadeau equals his career best with a 4th. Jeff Burton, 33rd to 6th. The top 10 for Scott Pruitt. DW finished 11th.
Great run for Darrell. Wasn't that fun, man?
Yeah.
He's doing it yesterday.
That was pretty cool. That was good.
Behind us when he passed us, and he just one by one he kept getting them going forward.
Yep. Big charge there in the late part of the race. He picked up a lot of those spots in that last run. Championship standings, Bobby's lead was 53. It's now 87 over Dale Jarrett. The NASCAR Winston Cup Series heading to Watkins Glen this weekend. Hot Seat is next. Time for the hot seat, and we welcome to the program the man who has come to the rescue of Mr. Benson. Ken Butler, the president of Aaron's, has joined us. How you doing?
I'm great.
Appreciate you taking the time to be here. I'm not sure I understand why, but that's okay. We'll find out here in a minute. I turned you over to our esteemed panel for questions.
Okay, no problem.
Well,
no pressure.
we're going to first thank you for coming on board, but what made you make the jump? I know you've been with Mikey, and I know Kenny bailed me out buying a team. Mikey's bailing me out getting a sponsor, but going from, the Busch sponsors and TV commercials up to the Winston Cup, how much of a difference has that been for you guys?
A lot of zeros on the backside, I guess, for starters. But I'll tell you how it all started. My son's high school football coach, Cecil Flo, follows NASCAR racing quite a bit, and called me up and said, Ken, you guys ought to just pick up Johnny Benson for the rest of the way. So we made a call. We inquired about it and found out that we probably couldn't afford the deal, and there were too many other companies out there that we thought that could, and kind of took a back seat and went on vacation and came back, saw a front page article that your season was going to be over with by after the Brickyard. So I said, we can't let that happen. So we jumped in and put a pencil to it to see how we could put this thing together. And with the help of a lot of our vendor partners, you may have saw them on the side of the car with RCA and Phillips and Comp USA, GE, Maytag. We were able to pull the funds together to pull you out for the rest of the year. So
well, we definitely
we're glad to do it.
Yes,
sir.
Tell us a little bit about Aaron's. What is Aaron's Rents?
Well, that's probably a confusing question for a lot of people. We're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange, and the public name is Aaron Rents, Inc. We've been around since 1955, and if I've got 25 minutes, I can explain the whole deal. We have 3 operating divisions. One's called Aaron Rents and Sells Office Furniture, Aaron Rents Furniture, which is a rent-to-rent component, and I'm in charge of what we now call Aaron Sales and Leasing and Lease Ownership. We have a number of signs up out there that say Aaron's Rental Purchase, so we're in the transitionary stage of actually changing our name, and we're doing that because of the great value we bring to our customers. A lot of our consumers buy furniture, electronics, appliances, computers, as well as a very aggressive lease ownership program that we have also.
Buffy and I just made a commercial, and Buffy's in it, so I know you'll enjoy it. But what we
had to
is
do something to make him look good.
we tell everybody how
trying that for
put
5
Buffy
years.
beside him, he looks better.
Come on, remember, Buffy's not here. Let's keep talking to me. We showed how you can get a nice stereo, big screen TV, couch, and furniture by heading to an Aaron's store. So there's definitely things at the stores that the fans can utilize and look forward to getting.
Well, that's right. That's why we called both the machines we're going to be running the Dream Machine, and we feel like we're in the dream fulfillment business. And that commercial that Michael did was about a Neptune washer and dryer. And as we talked to Michael, we found out that he owned one. And a Neptune washer and dryer by Maytag is probably the best washing machine made in the world. At retail, they run about $1,549. $1,549. That's a pretty pricey deal, but that's no matter what retailer you go to, that's the price. But at Aaron's, you can get it for $99 a month, and that's kind of a special number. I mean, own it within 24 months.
My Busch car's number 99 too, that I'll show up at Bristol with. What about your racing experience? You a big race fan?
Enough to be dangerous, so don't ask me too many racing questions.
That's kind of the way we are.
Yeah, we found that out. Go ahead, Kenny.
Me, Kenny, or this Kenny?
This Kenny.
Mikey, remember, he told me not to really say nothing during this segment.
That's right.
He would be in charge, just that I didn't know what I was talking about. But
well, good.
So long-range plans. I mean, I know. What are we going to do? We got to finish off this year, but
yeah, we wanted to do a deal that was not just for 15 races, and particularly with Michael as well as Johnny and yourself. And ironically, I got all 3 of you on our team in 2001. We've have an associate sponsorship with Johnny's team next year, as well as with Kenny's team next year. So we're excited about that.
are we going to dump Mikey?
Yeah, we're working on Mikey for next year. We're obviously going to run 6 races with Mikey this year, and we're working on him for next year right now too. So
figure out what we can do about next year as well.
We're not in it just for a 15-race deal. I figure we're in it for the long haul. We've got a race named after us in the springtime called the Aaron's 312. So we need to remember that too. And
so let me get this straight, Ken. As your corporate spokespeople, you've put together deals with
these 3.
Michael, Johnny,
the 3 of them. And we're not even running an ad on the program, so we need to do something about that.
We need to talk.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We really need to talk.
Alan's sitting over there thinking, I believe I can get in on this deal.
Listen.
It was a pretty safe hot seat coming in here tonight.
Yeah, I'd say so. It was fairly easily done.
He covered himself well.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sponsor all 3 of the hot seat interviewers, and you
Can't get anything bad on them.
That's right.
There you go. Well, Ken, we appreciate your support of our guys because they're really
needed.
We need a lot of help.
We're behind them all the way.
So. And appreciate you taking the time to come up here. He flew all the way here from Atlanta to do this program.
That's 2 weeks
amazing.
in a row. A guy drove all the way from Indiana
Sickness.
last week. Ken flew from Atlanta. I'm going to drive the Aaron's car at Bristol. It'll be my first Busch race. Wanted to point that out. So Johnny and I will both be at Bristol with the Aaron's Rent's cars. And
Looking forward
thanks
to
for
it.
being here.
Okay, we're glad to be here.
Thanks for
Good
bailing
luck
me
to
out.
us this week. That's right.
The White Knight.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken
appreciate
Butler
it.
from Aaron's Rents. Ken, good to see you. Hang on, don't go away.
right,
Let us
okay.
go to commercial. We'll make it look nice and neat here.
Okay, here you go.
TV-wise and all that.
I thought I was booted.
Busch Series race when we come back. Hang on. This week's Castrol Flashback Fact takes us back to August 7th, 1981, when Dale Earnhardt announces that he's leaving the Jim Stacy-owned team to get behind the wheel for driver-turned-owner Richard Childress.
NASCAR Inside Winston Cup is brought to you in part by the motor oil that provides maximum protection, Castrol GTX, Drive Hard, and Fram, who asks, when was the last time you changed your air filter?
Time now to go back into the race reviewing business with the NASCAR Busch Series action from Indianapolis. It was the Kroger 200 Friday night at Indianapolis Raceway Park. 5 lead changes, 7 cautions.
Among 4 drivers.
And the margin of victory.
No, there was more. 7 cautions were among more than 4 drivers.
Let me stick to this part, okay?
Okay.
Can you say edit?
Okay. Let's go to some of the early action here. Ron Hornaday, the eventual winner, started in 16th position, and we watch him moving up through the field in the opening laps.
Oh, and what a job he's doing, huh?
Yeah,
Right
Ron
down on the
Hornaday's
bottom.
right down on the bottom, and it's so hard to pass there and complete the passes, but his car was extremely good right down there on the bottom, and that's probably why he won this deal.
Will we be able to complete this, Trader?
Yes, he finished the pass right off coming off here turn 4.
Are you positive of that?
Mm-hmm.
Clear. Should we tell everybody that this is the second time we did this?
This is like the second time I ever remember having to do it.
Yeah.
But the back room messed up and we're redoing it.
Oh,
Here,
throw 'em in the
Jeff
river.
Green led like 100 and something laps the first.
113 of the first
Let alone-
120 or something crazy like that.
What'd you say just a minute
And the
ago?
only reason you guys know this is because I just did that a minute ago. Jeff Green led 113 of the first 120 laps. We saw Hornaday get into
Something
third
like
position
that.
there. And now we move to some of the parts of the program that we messed up last time, and we're having to come back and redo now. A lot of wrecks at IRP, as always. Here's one at lap 120.
Okay.
Okay, what do you... Just analyze that, Trader. What happened?
Well, they run into one another.
It's real tight.
Let's blame it on somebody. Who's responsible?
I don't know.
You don't even know who the cars are, do you?
Yeah, it was
No.
Grubb and McLaughlin.
The white one
good.
and the red one. Sort it out. Who caused what?
I don't know. It looked like
It
the
just looked
one
like
on
they
the
were both
outside
sliding.
came down, and the one on the inside. I mean, it was just. I don't know. This is the one on the inside here.
Yep.
So it's too close to call.
Too close to call.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
They show, but Mike's got a
this
pretty
out.
good idea of who's falling
He's got an
off.
opinion.
Yeah. He was
said he was just
discussing here.
checking, see if he's okay.
Yeah, he did. He said he was just making
Yeah.
sure he was okay.
That was cool.
On that caution flag, the leaders pitted. Jeff Purvis got just 2 tires and would move out in front. We'll see more on him in just a moment. First lap 143, more mayhem in turn number 1. We'll leave another half a dozen of them in a smoking heap.
Well, we don't see what started that, but everybody definitely got in the wall and everybody stopped and lots of damage.
They ran a long time before they had a yellow. But then, what is it you always say on the show, Mike?
Cautions breed cautions,
Yeah,
and we
right.
say that because we like saying breed.
Check out the restart. This would be the winning pass here. Watch Hornaday.
Now, what about this, Alan? Check out this start this man
Look at
gets.
this.
Not only is he getting down the straightaway, when they get to the corner, but, I mean,
He took on 4 tires, I believe, and the 4 only took on 2.
yeah, but I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Yeah, it did. He had 2 more tires, new tires.
Watch this. This has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
Excuse me, I'm going to need part of your lane now. Just for a second.
Just for a second.
Be right out of your way.
A caution with 8 laps to go sets up a final 5-lap sprint to the finish. Purvis was all over Hornaday, but just couldn't find a way around. He tried, and he tried, but Mr. Hornaday was not to be denied.
And if this didn't keep all the people sitting in the stands, sitting in their seats, or standing by him, or whatever, it's just such a great race all the way to the end. And
It always is, isn't it?
it is. That race is always puts on such a good race.
For IRP, we never see a lot of lead changes. It's tough to pass, but it's always a fabulous
the end.
race.
Right.
Always.
Fun, too. A lot of people there for this Friday night race, and it's just an exciting event. If you win this race, you've done a night's work. And I might point out that I did win it once. Other than that,
So you've seen you only worked
Second
one-
win of the season for Ron Hornaday. Jason Leffler, I believe that's his best ever Busch Series result with a 4th place run. How about Mike Dillon? Started 39th, finished 12th
and wrecked a couple times.
at the aforementioned
Exactly.
hard to pass on racetrack and all that other stuff.
Mike Wallace, a nice 14th place run in the Lear UAW Ford. Good run for him.
Derek Gilchrist in Andy Petrie's car finished 19th.
And looking at the cars now that were involved in all of those bumps and bangs and spins and all the rest.
There was 4 Jasons in the field.
You don't see that
Wow.
very often.
An interesting statistic from Mr. Schrader.
4 Jasons.
Who told you that?
I just saw it.
Jeff Green, well, 567 points over Jason
He
Keller.
gained a couple.
The Busch Series is off this weekend. They run at Michigan 1 week from Saturday. The truck race from IRP next.
This week's Pep Boys tip of the week. Flush the cooling system every 2 years or 24,000 miles. Replace the coolant with the proper ratio of water and additive for your climate.
The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action from the past week was last Thursday night at Indianapolis Raceway Park. It was the Power Stroke 200 by Ford. We take a look at it now with Michael, Johnny, and Kenny. A record 10 cautions, a quarter of the race behind the pace car. 13 of the starters finished on the lead lap, margin of victory 0.8 of a second for winner Joe Ruttman. Ruttman started on the pole, but Greg Biffle got the jump on him at the green flag, led the first 20 laps. Then at lap number 20, it was Mr. Ruttman reasserting his superiority. Well, actually, it kind of looks like Mr. Biffle said, hey, go ahead.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious that Ruttman had, man, all weekend. You look at the practice speeds, qualifying, then in the race, they had that Dana Dodge tuned up, didn't they?
Very much so. He was a dominant truck.
Let's talk
Okay,
about.
let's do the next part.
Kenny wants to get to the part where his truck shows up.
He's hoping it does. I mentioned the record number of cautions in the race. We illustrate some of the 10 yellow flags with Randy Tolsma getting the raw end of a 3-wide race into turns 1 and 2. Generally, 3-wide doesn't work that well at IRP, and we find out why right here.
Especially when the one guy's way down underneath.
Why does it seem like we
line
always try, though? Somebody will always.
Somebody's got to try.
You're so brave and courageous.
Yeah, especially on the inside, because you got 12 tires to hold you. You think you'd make it.
Almost 4 wide there.
Okay, number 41 causes that.
That's
Yep.
Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, that's for sure, Jamie's. That one goes to him.
Okay.
Good job, Schrader.
Some of the lead trucks pit. Oh,
Now
let me
this
get
is
another
the
look at
third
it.
truck
Yeah.
from the outside. He's the one that's going to come up on the short end of the stick.
Actually, though, when you're that close to the fence at Raceway Park and you spin and don't hit it, that was pretty good.
Did good.
Biffle and Busch, the Roush trucks, pit here along with a couple of the other leaders. These two particularly would never get their track position back. They'd wind up finishing 5th and 6th. Of course, they really didn't have much choice. They weren't up there, running with Ruttman for the lead, so.
Yeah, no, they did what they had to do. The only difference in that race was, as we'll see with these other yellows, everybody came in and took the rights. Then some came back in and took our lefts.
And some didn't.
We didn't. Wally Brown, our crew chief, elected not to. And then the guys that took our lefts kind of realized they were already in trouble because of track position, so they came back in to get a set of rights, thinking they could dig themselves out of that hole, and they got in such a big hole they never got out.
And then
You
NASCAR
must have seen that race.
I watched that race pretty close.
Did NASCAR have a problem with the pit road being open or closed? I heard something about
It worked. I thought it was good.
You were okay with it?
Yeah, I was okay with it. I didn't see no big problem there, but boy, there was a lot of really mad people on pit road.
There were a few believing that the pit road was still closed when they came by the flag on
And
the
then they
back
opened it?
straightaway, and it was open late. And
Yeah, you got to really look close sometimes.
Sounds like Schrader would agree with those few, too. Just,
we have no definitive evidence visually either way, so we'll move on to some hard-nosed racing in the late going. Andy Houston in the 60 and Steve Grissom in the 43. And this one turned kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is just some good racing, gets on the inside, and it was one of those deals where I think he was coming up and just wasn't quite clear, and Steve just didn't get on the brakes fast enough, and kind of ended his day, or at all. Well, you see, he was,
Well, but you don't
he was going
expect
by.
you don't expect them to come up. I mean, you basically know when you're clear.
right.
And you don't expect them to come up.
And
And
that
this
wall
is-
comes
this is
up
a
very fast. He's right next to the wall. It's not a whole lot.
I think that's a situation, too, where the 60 said, I'm going to kind of squeeze on him a little bit here, and Steve said, no, you're not either, and that's what happens.
Exactly.
Those guys watch those commercials all the time with tough trucks, and
Yeah.
Steve wasn't buying into that.
Yeah, and Steve's not the type guy that you can really go beat up
No,
after a
he's
race
right
anyway.
up next to the wall there.
No.
And what looks bad there is when Steve starts to cut back left, but he's trying to keep himself off the wall,
Exactly.
too. So and it just didn't end up good for Andy.
We call that Andy's fault. What do you think, Schrader?
He's waffling
Steve didn't do
again.
anything wrong.
Okay. Jack Sprague's tough luck continued Thursday night, running second fairly late in the race, and it goes wrong once again as he starts to fall back through the field on the restart. Right behind Ruttman, the race leader, and it won't take long after the green flag before he discovers he's got a problem.
Right about turn one, he'll go in and just slides up the track, and then automatically he's thinking he's got something wrong with the right front, and I think it was just a little low on air.
Wow. He's had a tough season.
He's had a real tough season.
And then he can't
Yes.
get to the
Right.
bottom.
And there comes that Penda
This is the
truck
point at which we see Kenny's
shooting to
truck,
the
yellow
inside.
one.
Lyndon Amon driving our Penda truck, accessories truck, which we had good track position, and we didn't want to see a lot of yellows. Now this one worked out because I thought Jack might get hung up there and we'll catch another yellow. But anyway, Lyndon
place.
did a real good job.
Joe Ruttman led 143 of the 200 laps for his second win of the season. Lyndon with the second place run. Jamie McMurray, the rookie, finishes third.
Good run.
Wow. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's impressed, isn't it?
Yep.
Back to that Penda truck. Is that all you're going to show that Penda truck after they run second, and that's all you're going to show? Ricky Hendrick got
ahead
in
and
a
talk
crash
about it, Ken.
and wound up 12th still. Got a lap down, ran good all night, just couldn't get that lap back, wound up 12th.
Okay, you used up all the time to talk about your truck now.
Well, Ricky
Championship
did good.
standings after Indianapolis. Biffle loses only a few points of his lead. Nashville next for the trucks this coming Saturday night.
This August.
It is time now for our expert panel to review this weekend's action for the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. It is called Global Crossing at the Glen as we return to the historic Watkins Glen course in New York State. Jeff Gordon tries to win another road course event. Here we go.
Down the front straightaway, you get the high gear, right? Mm-hmm. Okay.
This could be part of the problem, Kenny.
And then you got it. Well, it's downhill right-hander, and you got to get at least to second. Some guys go to low.
Yeah, most guys go to second. You leave there and you grab third just before you hook this right into the S's. And on qualifying, you can almost mat it through here, but kind of waffle around on the throttle
It's a
a little
thrill.
bit. It is a wild ride, the wildest ride at Watkins Glen. And then you come out on the back straightaway here and grab fourth gear for the long 2,600-foot backstretch.
And then you get right down here, you're going to start to see the markers on the lefts right there, all the way down into second gear. And this is a very tight but fast inner loop. And just quick right, left, left, back to right, and then down this really long right-hand corner.
Sweeper,
Turn 9.
downhill.
What you're not seeing here, the track is all black. Now there's a white patch that runs through the center of a lot of these corners. And they put concrete on the insides of the turns because the track tore up some. But that's not a factor. The concrete sticks well. The cars really don't handle any differently because of it. Turn 10 is a left heading back to the pits, and then turn 11 is the last turn on the track. It's a right. It's a right there.
It's right there.
Start
Under
finish
the
line
bridge.
and in the pits. There's a full lap.
Wow. Adventurous.
It is.
Black
Fun.
is good.
It's fun.
Green is bad. Blue is very, very bad. The
Right.
old Watkins Glen saying, pavement, grass, and the light blue guardrails. Jeff Gordon, what is it, 7 road course races in a row? He's trying to 6 or 7?
He's trying to win 7 in a
Trying to
row.
win 7, I believe, is the number, right?
It's just simply amazing, isn't it?
Yep.
It's incredible.
Incredible.
Okay. Anything else to say about Watkins Glen?
No,
Could have
just-
the rain tires out.
I hope
Oh, Mikey. We were up there last year, and Mikey woke up Friday morning, and he's in the motorhome, and he hears it raining. He's like,
I get to sleep in.
I'm going to sleep in. And it's like, Watkins Glen, rain tires. Fear
I
of
went from being as happy as I'd ever been, going to get to catch a little extra sleep, to as terrified as I've ever been. I got to go out there and run up that S's and with rain tires on. But
That was fun. Did you go out and do it a little bit?
No, I didn't.
I went out for a couple laps. I thought it
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
I did it in Japan.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
bad. It's pretty cool.
It would be wild. We still await the official debut of rain tire competition in Winston Cup racing. We'll see if it happens this week. And I hope not. I hope the weather's nice. But we'll
too.
see. Let's move now to Pelote Question of the Week. And this one from Paul Ring of Milford, Massachusetts, who wants to know on road courses, an appropriate question, does Winston Cup racing use local yellows like other sanctioning bodies?
I think they do. They do actually.
think they do?
How long have you been doing this, Johnny?
Oh,
This
sure.
would
They
be
get
a
Okay,
local-
now this is you, Johnny.
Oh, I kept going.
This would be you in a local yellow.
Yeah, they just throw the yellow. You're not supposed to pass in those areas. They just don't want to go to full course caution, and I'm going to get back on the grass. See, green's bad, but the styrofoam blocks, I don't want to hit those and come back on the track.
These are some
So
guys.
yes, they do use them.
That just means that when you get to that area, slow down, be careful, and do not pass. If they catch you passing in a local area, they'll black flag you. But that means after you get through there, you can do whatever you want. Local yellow.
And they got a
Standing yellow.
standing yellow, which means the full course.
Right.
Local
And a
yellow,
waving
they
yellow.
wave. And then they got an oil flag, don't they?
Yep.
Well, that's just something's
looks
on the
like?
track.
What's it look like?
It's not either one of them.
It's striped.
It's the other one.
Blue and
Yellow and orange stripes.
Yeah. And that means when you get there,
Just hang on.
something's there. Oil, water, car, rocks. Something's there. Be ready.
Okay. So that's Watkins Glen on Sunday. And next Monday night, we'll be back probably to review it all for you here on Speed Vision.
If you have a question for our drivers, mail it to us to Question of the Week, Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224, or email us at speedvision.com. If we use your question, you'll receive a pair of Pelote driving shoes. Please specify blue or black and your shoe size. Pelote driving shoes you can wear all day.
Here is the racing calendar for the weekend. Saturday night, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Nashville Speedway. Sunday, the Winston Cup cars at Watkins Glen on the road course. Thursday, 7 Eastern on Speed Vision, Jimmy Maycar, the Brickyard 400 winning crew chief, is my guest on This Week in NASCAR. And then next Monday night, we'll proudly review Watkins Glen and Nashville with our expert panel of drivers here on NASCAR Inside Winston Cup.
My souvenir rig, you know. Last week, and everybody at Indy said, I'm going to go out there and get a shirt. Well, I heard that we didn't make enough at Pocono to have gas money to get it to Indy, but I'm sure it's going to make it to Watkins. So I appreciate all the fans saying that they were going to buy a shirt, even though it is just because they feel sorry for me. But
Either way,
either way, I think it'll be good, exciting for those 2 people that work on the trailer because they'll have something to do this weekend.
Yeah, we're big in Canada.
We are?
Yeah, I was at Moseport Park for
Cold
the
up
sports
there,
car
you know.
race Saturday and Sunday. We are big in Canada.
Well, good.
Thank everybody north of the border for watching. And by the way, to everybody, keep the cards and letters and emails coming. Producer Harry was telling me he went through 1,000 emails this week with questions of the week and stuff like that.
We had an extra day, so send a couple extra.
We're going to race Wednesday night in Dodge County Speedway, Dodge County Fairgrounds Speedway, I think, in Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, the Penda Summer Nationals.
And
That was the Penda truck that ran second at IRP this
I think you mentioned
Yeah,
that.
mentioned
I'm going to run. I'm going to play golf for Randy LaJoy up there in his benefit golf tournament in Connecticut on Wednesday.
Is he going to fly up this time, or is he going to
Last year we went to play golf for Randy, and we all got to the airport when it was over at 6 o'clock that afternoon, and at 12:30 the next day, we were able to take off and head to Watkins Glen. So we kind of explained to him we needed to be a little bit more timely, and he said he could handle that. I'm going to play golf with the Less Care Kitchens folks. It's where I began that relationship that has allowed me to let Teddy Christopher drive my car a couple times. Looking forward to playing with those dudes.
Boris said, asked me up in Mossport to finish the windsock story. Then he said it was something that just shouldn't be done on the air.
No, it's a good story, though. It's about a V-twin, a guy riding a V-twin, so it was pretty cool.
Okay, fine. Got
Well,
anything, Johnny?
usually we're
No, just got
out
to
of
thank
time.
Aaron's for stopping by today and
They've been to your shop.
Bailing you out.
bailing us out. Kind of cut into my vacation plans the rest of the year, but I'd rather be racing anyhow. So we're real thankful for those guys
If you
coming on
need
board.
to-
Looking forward to
If
it.
you need to rent anything, this is the show to turn on to.
Exactly.
I rent bulldozers.
We started
he
the
rents
show with
couches.
more to do than we had time to finish. We ended the show with time to kill. I never
to
can
believe.
figure out what's going to happen here. Jimmy Maycar, Thursday night on This Week in
NASCAR Inside
Jimmy.
Winston Cup has been presented by Pep Boys. Cars like us, people love us. And brought to you by the motor oil that provides maximum protection. Castrol GTX. Drive hard. Drivers and crew apparel is provided by Chase Authentics, the authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR. New for all race fan families. Introducing the Simpson Child Car Safety Seat. Available now at these racing places. For more information, visit our website at simpsonraceproducts.com. For more of the latest NASCAR news and information, log on to speedvision.com.